Hi there, this is Vadim Mikhailenko from Stunning Professional Presentations, and in this quick tutorial we're going to look at the top 5 Microsoft Excel questions being asked as part of the job interview. In the second half of the video we're also going to look at the quick tutorial that covers basic Microsoft Excel concepts requiring for you to get the job. So stay here with me on this channel. Before we start, let's take a look at what Microsoft Excel is and how is it useful for organizations to get the job done. Microsoft Excel is a powerful spreadsheet application that can be used for anything from a simple database all the way up to a full-fledged Windows application. It has a lot of built-in features and also can be expanded by adding macros, forms, and add-ons. You can use Excel to calculate or store uncalculated data. For example, car loan payments, forecasting revenue, calculating taxes, creating graph, managing customer records, keeping an address book, and a lot more. Excel is currently used by a lot of companies for daily financial data analysis. It has a very large range of financial functions, formulas, and add-ons that allows you to use Excel to store and analyze data in a simple and quick way. Now let's look at the top 5 Microsoft Excel interview questions. Question number 5. What is the difference between Microsoft Excel for the desktop and Excel in Office 365? Office 2016 for desktop is the newest version of Office Productivity Suite, which includes Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and other Office applications, which are typically accessed via the desktop. Office 365, on the other hand, is the cloud-based subscription to a suite of programs including Office 2016. Office files can be accessed in the browser and on mobile devices, which allows businesses and individuals for more flexibility. You can also download and install Office 2016, including Excel 2016, on your desktop as part of Office 365 subscription. Full desktop version of Office, which includes Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, and Publisher, is included with license for up to 5 computers per user. Another big difference is in pricing. Office 2016 is the standalone version with the one-time cost per user, so you just make your purchase once. You pay a large amount of money upfront, but you don't have to pay a monthly fee after. Office 365, on the other hand, is the subscription plan, meaning that you won't pay anything upfront, but you pay a set of monthly fees per user per month. And if you don't want to spend a lot of money upfront, paying monthly might be a better option for you because you can cancel at any time also. Question number 4. What are the most useful functions in Microsoft Excel? One of the most useful Excel functions is Sum, which allows you to quickly sum a range of cells by using AutoSum button. It automatically enters the sum functions in the selected cells. The sum function totals one or more numbers in a range of cells. Other useful functions are average, max, and min. Average calculates average value from the range of cells. Max calculates the maximum value, and min calculates the minimum value in the range of cells. Excel has a lot of functions available to you, and based on the work that you're doing, you will be selecting and favoring some of the specific functions based on the job. You also will be able to write your own functions and calculate some specific values based on the work that you need to accomplish. Question number 3. What is the function in Microsoft Excel? Functions are predefined formulas that allow you to do calculations, and they are already available in Excel. Formulas and functions in Excel are useful to perform various mathematical, statistical, and logical operations. You can type in formula, though you have to be sure it's exactly right, or you can use Excel's preset formulas called functions. If you type in formula, you must start with an equal sign, so Excel knows that the data in the cell is a formula. After the equal sign, what comes next depends on what you're trying to do. Excel offers you some suggestions and shows syntax for a given function. Excel also corrects you and provides suggestions if you've made a mistake while typing. Question number 2. What is the sequence of operations being executed when formulas are executed in Microsoft Excel? Excel uses specific order when it evaluates operations in formulas. First, it goes and looks at the parentheses, then it looks at exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and then subtraction. You might recognize the term PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, and that stands exactly for what we just described. When evaluating formula, Excel always processes operations in this order. If you find yourself receiving an unexpected result from the mathematical operation, double-check to make sure that parentheses are used properly to achieve the results that you want. And question number 1. What is the most important data types used in Microsoft Excel? There are 4 important data types in Microsoft Excel, and they are numbers, dates, percentages, and strings. Numbers are one of the most frequently used data types in Excel. They can be formatted with specific number of decimal places, and they can appear with or without commas separating the 1,000 digits. Numbers can also be added, subtracted, divided, multiplied, or included in formulas and functions that accept numerical inputs. Dates represent specific date and time. Dates are sorted differently than numbers because they represent different values. Percentages are very special numbers that multiply a given number by 100 and add percentage sign in the end. And strings represent free-form text, and they are stored as text, could be letters, numbers, and punctuation signs, and also could be stored in your cells. Excel needs to be able to differentiate between those key data types because it needs to know how to sort the data and how to do calculations. And they are all done differently for those different data types. And now let's do a quick refresher tutorial that covers basic concepts of Microsoft Excel. We're going to look at the tool itself, key operations in the tool like copy, cut, and paste. We're going to look at the formulas. We're going to look how to sort data. We're going to look at how to print the data, how to save it as PDF files, and a lot more. So stay here with me. Let's start our tutorial with the overview of the basic concepts of Microsoft Excel. Let's click on the blank workbook. When you start Microsoft Excel, you see the screen. And when you click on it, this is the screen that you see. So the key first element I'm going to introduce to you in the bottom right corner, and that's the zooming element. We're going to make it a little bit larger so you guys can see better, even if you're using this video on the mobile devices. So first of all, Excel allows you to do data entries into the cells. So we can type and enter the data. We can say that this is, for example, HP monitor, right? This is the text value that we've entered into the cell. Next cell might be Alexa, and as you can see that we're trying to list things that might be for sale. Another thing might be remote control. As I go here, I can extend the rows width, and this would allow me to fit information right into the cell. I can select it and do a little bit of formatting in Excel. For example, I can make bold, and I'm going to make it back unbold if you wish. I can make it italic, underline, right? I can also format within the cell, and this is alignment. I can make it center to the left, which is currently formatted, to the right. I can also place it in the different areas in the cell. And as you can see, all of this is done through the ribbon interface. So this area on top, where I'm moving my cursor, you see that this is a ribbon. You can switch between different tabs in the ribbon, and you see based on the name of the tab, you see different possible functions, and there are a lot of functions in Excel. But you don't need to know all of them, and that's a good thing. I use maybe 5-10%. I know about a lot of them, but on a day-to-day basis, you probably use very few of them. So 95% is used by a lot of other people, like engineers, scientists, data scientists. So for typical job, depending what you do, you may not need all of this. So don't be scared. It's all good. Now let's continue and let's enter some numbers. So for example, we need to format to align it back to the left, and we'll put some numbers. So that would be the price. HP monitor, for example, $99.99, right? That's the typical price, minus $100 minus 1 cent. And we can format as you see $sign. These are different number types, right? Full list of number types listed right here. General number, currency, accounting. I'm not even gonna go through the list, but the most typical one uses the number, currency, dates, and text. Those are the most typical ones that I use, and most likely you will be using the same ones. You can also copy and paste here. So what you do here is you select the value, and I'm gonna use the ribbon for this. There are other ways to do copy. So you click copy, then you move your cursor into another cell, and then you click paste, and it will paste the value. But Alexa's price might be a little bit different, so let's put $49.99. But see, it copied not just the value, but also formatting, like a specific dollar value that was copied. And then the last value for remote control, let's put it at $9.99. And you see what I typically do, I just copy and paste if it's a similar data, and then I just make modifications. So now let's talk a little bit, and this is the last piece of this overview, is how is it helpful, right? So you launched Excel. How is it helpful for the regular user like I am? What I can do, I enter the data, I can format the data, and I can print the data, right? So for example, I can put borders around the cells. I can also make a header, and this would be item, and this would be price, right? So I just added those two, and conveniently spaces that have been left empty. I can also put some header color here. You see there are different colors available, and I probably would also want to do a border around the header. But now I can print, I can manipulate the data with formula. So for example, let me show you the simplest formula. We'll just click on auto sum, and it will sum up all the values. And this would be the total value of C2 through C4, $159.97. And now you can print it, right? That's pretty basic workflow. So you enter the data, you format it as you wish, and then you can print it. And it shows the print preview. And we should be able to zoom in, and we can see these values right on the page. And this is what Microsoft calls WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So whatever is entered here on the screen, you will get the same printout on the page. Next, let's take a look at how you can do copy, cut, and paste in Microsoft Excel. But before we do that, let's just talk about the basic concept of what does copy mean. Copy means that you copy the value and paste it somewhere else. That's the basic fundamentals, right? It keeps the value in the original cell, and it also pastes it into a new cell. I'm going to show you multiple ways how to do it. So when you highlight the cell, you can click on the copy button in the upper left corner, and then you can also paste it to the left. Or in fact to the right, I'm sorry. And you see that the blank value, because here we had a formula, you see here there's a formula, it's a sum of cells C2 through C4, but there's nothing here. The formula here in D5 would be sum of D2 through D4, but there's no values here. So let's play a little bit of a trick, and let's just say that we can only paste not just one value, but we can paste a lot of different values. So we just create a new column, and we'll call it old price, right? And in old price, what I did, I used Control-C and I used Control-V. That's another way to copy and paste. And I can also use Control-Z, or I can do undo. That's another key function when you're dealing with clipboard. So we will undo paste, and there's nothing here. So I'll highlight it again and keep the selections. I'll use this button because it's easier for you guys to see. And I'll click copy, and then I move the cursor to D1, and then I'll just click paste. And it pastes the value. Now, if we change it, that's the cool power of Excel. It's in real time, it will modify. So let's assume that HP's monitor price, old price was $129. You see the total value immediately modified. And it became $189 for the old price, and we just need to rename it to make it an old price, right? And for other values, Alexa, let's say, was $59, the old price, and remote control was $19.99. There are multiple different ways and multiple different copy and pastes function. For example, you can apply different types of paste to formulas, and you can apply different types of copy the data, because Excel can copy and paste as values or as formulas. But this is outside of this particular tutorial because it's for absolute beginners. But it's important for you to realize that this is what it is, and this is one of the questions that you might be asked on the interview. Is there only one type of copy and paste? No, there are multiple types. So let me just show you the options and what they are, and this would be the last piece of this video. So if you select something and you click, especially the formula, and you click copy, see this small arrow under the paste button, and you can paste it as is. You can paste values, or you can use other paste options. So we're gonna skip and not do anything. So now, what is cut? Cut is really as it stands. You cut it from a place and then you paste it to another place. So copy keeps the original values, but cut takes them away and moves them to another area. So let's do a cut of this value, 129. I just click the cut button, and if I paste it to E2, I just click the paste button, and you see the total was automatically updated. In this video, we're going to look at basic Microsoft Excel data types. And first, let's take a look at this document. Here we have item listed. We have sales for this item, January sales and February sales. It looks like only one item was sold, so I apologize. That's kind of how I played with the data. So it doesn't look really realistic, but let's just use it for the sake of using this information. So let's just look at what are the data types we have here. We have a text data type, right? HP monitor, item, January and February, and Alexa and remote control are all the text data types. And then we have dollar signs, currency data type, right? And if you want to look at the all data types, you can just click here and you see all of them. Most common ones are number, currency, dates, different types of dates, and then the text. So what we're going to do is for you to better understand the difference between data types, and the difference is how the formula is being calculated. For example, if you do sum of dates, it's going to be different than sum of dollar numbers, and etc. And you cannot do sum of text values. So it just doesn't work this way. So that's why you need different data types, because if you apply formulas, they work differently for different data types. That's really the rationale behind having data types. Excel is very smart, and it assigns data types based on what you're typing. So Microsoft did a very good job, and Excel recognizes this very, very well. Now, let's change, for the purpose of this exercise, we know two data types now. Let's introduce the third one, the date. So let's say instead of January and February, let's say that it would be two dates, and first one would be January 1st, 01, 2019. So that's the first date. And then second one, instead of February, would be 01, would be 1/2/2019. And I'm in the United States. In the United States, month goes first, and then the date goes after the month. So it's a January 1st in C1, and in D1, it's January 2nd. Now let's see what we can do with this data types. Now if we select, now it knows that it's a date. So I told you it's smart enough to pick up the fact that it became a date. It was text and it became a date. But we can also do a few other things. We can use a different format. For example, this is already a short date. So the fact that I switched it didn't make any difference. But let's change it to long date and let's see what happens. This sign means that there's not enough room in this cell to show everything that's in here. So I'm going to expand it a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's finally, this is where we see a long date format, and it shows Tuesday, January 1st, 2019. We can change this one to the same format as well. But instead, let's take a look at all the different data formats. And to do that, if you look at the number section on the ribbon here, I click on the small icon in the bottom right corner of the number section. And look at this. And here on the left, it shows us different categories, but here it shows all different possible data types. And I'm pretty sure when you come here, you will be able to pick the right one for you. In this tutorial, we're going to learn the basic formulas in Microsoft Excel. We're going to look at sum, average, max, and min. And in order to do that, we're going to use this document. And by the way, all the documents are available for download from my website. So I definitely recommend that you go and look in the description of this video, and the links there really will take you to the right place so you can download. So what we see here, we see a list of sales, right, in different categories. There are two categories. I kept them two for simplicity purposes. These are the sales of different devices: wireless charger, screen protector, Alexa voice remote. And this is sales for Q1, Q2, 3, and 4. This could be fiscal quarters or this could be calendar quarters, doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to look at and determine how to use formulas to calculate these 4 different types. Remember, sum, which should give us the sum of all the values; average, which will give us the average of all the values; maximum and minimum. So those are the key formulas we're going to look at. So there are multiple ways how you can use formulas. The hard way is that you put in the cell, let's say that we want to do a summary of all these values, right? You can just say equal and then put sum, and then you say, okay, what is my first number and what is my last number? Maybe you just want to do more sophisticated. Let's just do, so you can start highlighting and then you close the bracket. So a lot of manual work. Now, $37,410. I'm going to delete this value by clicking delete button on my keyboard, and instead what we're going to look at is the auto sum right here in the upper right corner in the ribbon. So we're going to click auto sum, and it automatically guesses, and typically Excel guesses extremely well, let me tell you this, extremely well. So it guesses, and I'm just going to do a sum here and hit enter. So typically the only thing you need, if you agree with Excel's selection, is that hit enter. And now we can also copy and paste. So and it will copy and paste formula, and it wouldn't be the formula for Q1, it would be the formula for Q2, Q3, and Q4. So let me just demonstrate this. So if I am here in the cell C10 and I click copy, and now I move cursor here and click paste, it will calculate the Q2 sum values. So I'm gonna undo the paste. So see, I'm in the upper left corner and I'm clicking undo on the paste. And we're gonna look at other formulas. So as you might have noticed, all of these formulas are listed in that box. So we're gonna do a summary for Q1, we're gonna do average for Q2, we're gonna do maximum for Q3, and minimum for Q4. So let's do that. We'll do the same thing, but instead of just clicking on auto sum in the upper right corner here in the editing ribbon, we're just going to do an average here. And you see I picked average, and Excel again guessed and guessed correctly. And the average value, and not just guessed for one cell, it guessed for all the remaining cells, thinking, okay, this guy needs average for all of the, for columns D, E, and F, which is not exactly correct. So sometimes it does make mistakes. But the average value is 5003. So I bet you if you want to recalculate, you certainly could. Right. Let's clear those off. So I am going to select those two rows, and I'm going to click delete button on my keyboard. So for this one, as we've discussed, we're going to look at the maximum value. And again, we're going to select the cell E10. We're going to come back here and we're going to select maximum. And it selects the range. So this selection of numbers called the range in Microsoft Excel. So what it's going to do, it's going to look on maximum value, and there's only one maximum in between E2 and E9. And let's see if Excel is correct. And again, it guessed that I need the same thing for column F, which is typical, and a lot of times in the business calculations it's the similar way. But because I'm doing the educational demo, it's a little bit different. So 8,644. So let's find this number, and there are two numbers like this. Here they are, and that's how we came up with these values. And the last piece, let's just do a minimum value in this column F. So we'll do the same thing. I'm going to click delete button and delete the values, and I am going to click here the minimum value, and again Excel is looking for the minimum value between F2 and F9. All right, and the minimum value 2940.10, and this is at 2940.10. I just wanted to mention that all files referenced in this video are available as downloads, so make sure to check out the description of this video and download the files so you can follow along. Also, if you're interested to learn more about the concepts and need more deeper knowledge of Microsoft Excel, check out the training courses that I recommend. All links are in the description of this video as well. In this video, we're going to look at sorting and filtering data in Microsoft Excel. So what we see a table here, and we see different categories of data, and our goal is to sort them in sales and highlight the items that have highest sales, right? So that might be one objective, might be one business objective. Second objective might be put those descriptions in alphabetical order. So let's try to do both. In order to do that, we need to select the area where all the values we're interested in are, and we can do it multiple different ways. For example, for sorting, we can select the area, and then we can just say custom sort, and we decide how exactly are we going to sort. We can only sort one way. In a sense, we can do multiple sorting, but we have to understand how sorting would work, because Excel would need to maintain the values. For example, if it moves wireless chargers, it would have to move supplies and all the values associated with wireless chargers accordingly. Otherwise, the data wouldn't make any sense. So in this case, let's just do a simple sort by description. And what we're going to do, description is the field, and we're just going to say sorting by description. I'm going to click OK, and you see that description values with A, they come first, and with the lower letters in the alphabet, like wireless chargers, they come last. So let me undo this. Again, remember, undo button, Control Z, and Excel returns us back to the initial state. Now let's take a look at how would you do a filtering of the data. And the easiest way to do it, and this is what I typically use, I use highlight the top row with the headings, and I select here filter. And look what happens. Excel just added drop-down boxes for every header description item. And what I can do now, I can select, okay, I don't want to select everything, but I want to select just specific items. And because there is only one item, I guess it's not doesn't seem as effective, but let me show you where it might be effective. For example, I'm going to unselect Amazon Echo, and I'm going to select all here, return back to the initial state. But see, we only have two categories of supplies, 2 supplies and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 electronics items. So let's pick one category, and this is much more effective way of sorting. Now it picked 6 items for electronics, or I can pick supplies, and there are only 2 items for supply. So this doesn't seem as useful, but imagine that you have Excel document with hundreds or maybe thousands of rows and hundreds of different categories. This tool is extremely useful to sort regardless of how many rows you have in Microsoft Excel. In this video, we're going to look at the key navigational element inside Microsoft Access application. There's a ribbon here on the top, and there are different tabs on that ribbon. So what you do, you can switch between different tabs, and you get different functionalities available to you just by switching. Most of the key functions that you would use are located on the Home tab, but if you're becoming advanced user of Microsoft Excel, you can definitely navigate and explore and see what's available. Another useful tab is the File tab, and this is where you can look at the information related to the file, create a new document, open existing, save as, and print. I think printing is also the most effective way. So, because a lot of times you wonder how would you print it, and you see Microsoft supports WYSIWYG, meaning that what you see is what you get on the screen. And in this particular example, it looks like our Excel document, Excel graph would be much better if we would use landscape orientation instead of portrait, as I currently do. So let's do the switching real quick, and I'll show you at the same time you will learn. In order to do that, we go to Page Layout, and this decides page setup, and we click orientation, and we pick landscape orientation. And let's try to print again, and first it shows print preview, and I think it's a much better fit now for the information that we're looking for. You can minimize ribbon by clicking in the upper right corner, this small button, and it hides ribbon, and by clicking again you can make it appear, and you can pin it, the ribbon, so it stays there as it stayed when I was doing the demonstration. Another cool feature of Microsoft Excel is the Quick Access toolbar, and in Quick Access toolbar, based on the selections that you have, you can have access to different functions, and this is designed so you don't have to switch and find this related function through the ribbon. So for example, if I want to add new, I can add it, and I now can create new Microsoft Excel documents without going to File, New. I can just click on the new item on the ribbon, and it did create the new Excel document. In order for me to switch back, I can just go back, and switch windows, and I am back to my original document. It's important to know that Microsoft Excel also has a status bar, and I am in the upper in the lower right corner of status bar, and in the status bar we can zoom in or switch between the different views like a page layout, or we can switch to page break preview, so it shows us how it's going to print this particular document. Are you enjoying this episode? Make sure to subscribe so you're not missing the next one, and tell your friends about it so they will learn more skills in the area. Now let's continue and have more fun. Let's take a look. How can we prepare this document for printing? So we see this document and we need to plan, and it seems that it's better designed for landscape orientation. What is landscape orientation? If I'm right now in the Home tab and I go to Page Layout and I click Orientation, you see Portrait Orientation is as shown here in the portrait side, and this is landscape orientation. I selected landscape orientation for this document because it's better fitted for landscape orientation. But let's go and take a look how it's going to look like, and we can go and look without printing how final output will look on paper. So I just navigated, I clicked File, I clicked Print, and this is the page, and I see how document will look on page. Now there are a lot of other things I can do. If I go back to page layout, I can click on page setup, and this provides me detail control. I can control portrait versus landscape. I can print document based on a different size. I can magnify it or make it smaller to fit. I can command Excel and tell, okay, you have to fit it into the page, and this is especially useful for the large documents. We can control margins, and margins is a distance from the page when the useful content starts. So we have top margin, header margin, right, footer, bottom, and left margins, and those are very, very useful tools because every printer typically supports different margins. Some printers might only allow you to do wider margins. Some printers would allow you to do very narrow margins. We can also set Excel, you only need to print a certain area. And the way we can do it, we can highlight what we want to print, and we can say that this is going to become a print area. So we'll click Print Area button and we'll click Set Print Area. And when we did this, let's see how it changes Print Preview. So we'll go click Print, and it no longer prints that YouTube icon with subscribe button, and it no longer prints those comments. And this might be more beneficial for you if you, for example, have some areas that you don't want to print, maybe use them for calculations only, but you only want to print the output and have only final information in the output. And the last thing I wanted to show you are a couple additional functions like header and footer, where you can add header information of what's going to be printed on the header of the page, and you can add footer information here. So I clicked Page Setup, and we already looked at page and margin tabs. Now we're looking at the header and footer tab as part of this tutorial. And there is also a sheet tab which has a lot of different functions, and you see that we've selected print area, and Excel just remembered it based on A1 through F9, and that's what Excel knows as a print area. Now let's take a look. How can we protect the document from editing? And why would this be useful? Why would we need to protect something? There are multiple reasons. One reason, if we don't want to send something and allow people to change information on the document, we can actually set up the protection so people wouldn't be able to edit it and maybe print the document with tampered information, right? So that's one of the big reasons. Another reason, we might even protect it in such a way that people will not be able to open the document. They will not be able to open it without the password. And it's typically password-based protection that we have within the document. And the way it is typically done, if we go to review function, review tab, right? You can do protect sheet or protect the workbook. If I click protect sheet, it will protect current worksheet sample 2. These are the options available for protection. Obviously, you can type the password and you can disable or disallow, I would say, formatting cells, selecting locked cells, select unlocked cells. And you can go through the list and see what would be disallowed. And you have a lot of flexibility in controlling of what is going to be disallowed. And we can protect the entire workbook, right? And we can put a password, by putting the password, people will not be able to even open the document. And typically this is a very good protection, and you have options to decide what kind of protection you need specifically for your document. Now let's take a look. How can we save this document as a PDF file? And the best way to determine if you need a PDF file is interchangeable format between platforms. Any platform right now supports PDF file, and there's an easy way in Microsoft Excel how you can create a PDF file. You just when you click a save, instead of clicking save, you click a save as, and you click browse, and you select a different option. There are tons of options, some of them designed for compatibility with previous versions of Microsoft Excel, but what we are interested in, PDF, PDF format. And this is the PDF. I just found that, and as I was searching through those options, there are tons of others, like if you need to do it purely text format, that's CSV or TXT, and you can play based on what you need and pick the right format for you. So I'm going to click Save As, and it opened the browser, Adobe PDF, because my machine configured to open a PDF, and that's this document that we created in Adobe PDF. Links to all the tutorials and downloads are available in the description of the video. Make sure to check them out. And all the best on your project. And now let's take a look at how would you project a revenue increase of 7% quarter to quarter. So just think about it. We'll start with quarter one. So quarter two should show 7% increase from quarter one. Then quarter three would show 7% increase from quarter two, and quarter four, 7% increase from quarter three. How would you do that? So the easiest way, let's clear out this data, because this data is actuals and does not represent anything for us. We would need to use a formula. And formula in Excel, we just select the value and we click type equal sign, and we're gonna say value for Q1 multiplied by 107. And why 107? 1 represents the previous value. We multiply just by 1, we'll get exactly 5,700. But 0.7 is the 7% increase for the Q1 value. And we're going to hit enter, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Now I'm going to copy this value, and I'm going to select the area where I want to paste this formula. And that's exactly where I'm going to paste it. And it will calculate Q2 now, 7% increase in all categories from Q1. Now, the cool thing about Excel, and look at this, I'm going to copy this whole thing, and now I can paste it in Q3 and Q4, and it will calculate a relative formula. Now Q3 would be calculated against Q2, and Q4 will be calculated against Q3. Just look at that. Here you go. So you don't need to do it one by one. Obviously you could, and you can retype the whole formula, but because of the power of Excel, we can project the Q1 through Q2, Q2 through Q3, and Q3 through Q4. That's the power of relative formulas in Microsoft Excel. Have you enjoyed this episode? Make sure to subscribe so you will not miss the next one, and tell your friends about it. You can find links and downloads in the description section of this video. There are a lot of helpful links and a lot of other helpful information you will benefit from. Make sure to check out my other relevant videos and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We have a lot of great stuff planned in the pipeline, and I don't want you to miss any of it. And if you'd like to get notified about all the new stuff that are coming out, make sure to subscribe to my email list as well. All links are here on the screen. Make sure to click to stay in touch. Thanks again for watching.